father, mother, brother, or sister more than me, he said, then you are not worthy of me. We often care about the wrong things. We often find ourselves sidetracked on caring for things that don't matter at all in the scheme of things. We care about boundaries, parameters, barriers. We care about what we're able to do, what we can't do, where we can go, what we can't allow, what we can't allow. When in reality, Jesus Christ himself said, I'm going to take you to the greatest love on earth and tell you that unless your love for me supersedes the greatest things that you should love on this earth, not trivial things, not small things, not directives, not policies, not standards, nothing. He said, I'm going to take you to the thing you should love more than anything on this planet, anything on earth. And if you don't love me more than that, if you're not willing to forsake that to love me, then you are not worthy of me. Boy, that's some people in this world think that is strong medicine. And I happen to be one of them. That's strong medicine. But you forget we serve a God that asked Abraham to take his son of promise. A son, Sister Lisa, he waited on for 100 years. And you know what? A lot of us get weary, Brother Cobb, if we have to wait 2 or 3 years for something to happen. Sure. Brother Marvin, we get weary with God, wore out, thinking God ain't ever going to come through if we wait 20 years and something hadn't happened. I can't imagine Justin trusting God for 75 or 80 years for something, still not seeing it, but continue to believe that God was able. Only 100 years later, 100 years, you may be seeing this, fine. 100 years later, for God to come through, God to answer prayer 100 years later. Goodness gracious. And oh, the joy. After waiting 100 years, Sister Latasha, 100 years for the thing you desired with all of your heart, more than anything on earth. You know, I can relate to Abraham a little bit because Brandon and Rachel made me wait so long before I was a cheapo. And I love Bubby. Who I can't talk about it. Whew. I love my Bubby. Whew. He got me. He got my heart, and I'm afraid before long he's going to have my wallet. Whew. I can't hardly even talk about it without crying. I know that's crazy. Whew. That must have been how Abraham felt when he talked about Isaac. 100 years waiting on something that he wanted so bad that he had to wait a century to get it. And once he got it, and once he fell in love with it, and once he held it, Brother Shane, in his arms, and he talked to it like I talked to my Bubby, God said, I want you to give him to me. I want you to sacrifice him to me. Now I'll tell you what, we preach some strong sermons around here. And I'll tell you what, I believe that difficult times just deserve strong preaching. I wish this church were filled to capacity, but not everybody can handle strong preaching. I wish they could. Because Jesus said, as much as you love that which you waited and you prayed and you sought me 100 years for, as much as you love that, if you love that more than me, then you're not worthy of me. So you know what? It makes kind of anything we're asked to do, anything we're asked to give, anything we lay down that's trivial, it makes it small in comparison to the things that we truly love. As you know the story, Abraham and his son went to the top of the mountain. You've heard me say it before, but Abraham was the father of faith, Brother Perush, and he, by faith, believed this. He said, I and the lad will go and make a sacrifice. And he said, and when we return, we're gonna head to Ur, the land of the Chaldeans. So even though God had asked him for this, he had the confidence that if the Lord required it, that the God of glory was able to raise it up. They got to the top of the mountain, and you know the story. Isaac said, Father, where is the sacrifice? All Abraham would say, said the sermons, the Lord will supply. And as the fire was made ready and the altar was made ready, and Abraham prepared his son, laid him upon that altar, he raised his hand to take the son's life that he waited for and loved and cherished for over 100 years. He was so adamant about committing that deed that God had asked of him that the angel of the Lord had to say his name twice to keep him from thrusting that dagger into the heart of his son. The Bible said that he was so adamant that the Lord stayed his hand. And as Abraham looked around, he saw a ram that was caught in the thicket. I'm sure he was incredibly relieved that although God required something of him, although God asked something of him, inevitably, the Lord saw his faith and didn't require it. Do you understand what Pastor's trying to say today? Is that if we're willing to just manifest with a pure heart our love for God, and willing to lay aside every weight and sin that does so easily beset us, then we will have the favor, the power, the provision of the ram. I can't help but imagine, Brother Justin, as Abraham and Isaac were going up this side of the mountain, by faith that there was a ram going up the other side of the mountain for a divine rendezvous, an appointment designed by the Spirit of the Lord, so that whenever Abraham had made up his mind to wholly and completely follow after God, that the Lord's provision would be there for him. So let me say in my ministry today, rather than taking a text, let me ask you this. Is there something that you desire that you really are asking God for? This doesn't have to be an earthly possession. It doesn't have to be something in particular, but are you asking God for an area of your life to open up? Are you asking God for an area of your health to be healed? Are you asking the Lord for some unanswered questions to be finally answered for the first time in a long time? Are you asking God, and have you been trusting God so long that what you're trusting Him for has become the hallmark of your life or the way of life for you? That you can't hardly think about anything else except the thing that you're asking God for, yet it eludes you. yet you've yet to see it. Could I simply say this? I talked about it Wednesday night, Brother Shepherd. 100% in church, but 100% out of the will of God. How does that happen? It happens when we live a life without faith. When we stop operating in faith, walking in faith, talking in faith, and we try to carry burdens, concerns, doubts, worries, and fears in our flesh that were only designed for the broad shoulders of the one true living God. When you trying to carry things that you weren't designed to carry, your frame, your earthly frame, or this fragile life that we know will collapse. I said it will collapse. If you're carrying burdens and carrying thoughts and concerns and you're dealing with things that really only God can deal with, you're trying to open doors that only God can open for you. You're trying to shut some doors of the past that only God's hand is big enough to shut the door. If you continue on the path that you are on, your flesh will break down, your mind will break down, your health will break down. You won't be able to handle it. I've been pastoring this church 25 years this year, and I've seen it 1,000 times. When people try to be so strong, when the Bible doesn't say anything about our strength, but yet it says, but in our weakness, He is strong. So many have a preconceived idea that I got to be strong before God will anoint me. I've got to be strong before God will bless me. I've got to be strong before God will use me. Well, you need to tell that to about a 13-year-old boy that walked out on a battlefield one day and met a man 3 times his size. And he said, I come to you not with a sword and a shield, but I come to you in the name of the Lord. And in the day you recognize that it's in your weakness that moves God. And your frailty that moves God. In our inability to do anything other than trust God. It's the only thing that really moves God. I'm not telling you have to bring yourself into alignment to receive a touch from God. Sometimes He just wants us to come lost, undone, unorganized. God can do more with a sinner than He can with a self-righteous saint. God can do more with a person that knows they're lost than a person who's deceived themselves that thinking by anything other than the grace of God he can make heaven by good works. Brother Cobb, we are at our greatest when we acknowledge I have nothing and I need you, Lord. I need you. You know, that not everybody here knows each other inside and out. I barely know a little bit about everybody here, just a little bit. But I don't know everything there is to know about everybody. But you know, there's some very educated people walking among us. It always makes me feel stupid. Some very talented people in this congregation that make me feel inferior. I told Justin at the men's camp out, I'd like to say I'm glad everybody survived the men's camp out. Came back home. There's a time or two I didn't know if we would. We were camped about 35, 40 miles from here. Might as well have been north of the Arctic Circle somewhere. But I will say this, that I was telling Brother Justin, I said, you know, it's not how strong we are, but it's how we decide, you know, that in our weakness, we'll give that to God. Justin plays the guitar, and I don't. I want to play the guitar, but I can't. And Justin, who is a good guitarist, came to the camp out and did not bring his guitar. Now, I'm not making any eye contact right now because I really like to be right with God. And I said, what part about we're all going on a camp out, sitting around a campfire, did you not understand? Captain Guitar Man. And he said, Brother Hudson, I'm sorry I forgot my guitar. I said, could you say that just a little louder, please? He said, I'm sorry I forgot my guitar. I said, say it one more time, real loud. And I said, you know, Justin, I give all the thing, any talent or anything the Lord has blessed me with, I give all that to be able to play the guitar. And his response was this. It was, oh man, anybody could play the guitar in 15, 20 minutes. Then I really felt stupid. I felt even dumber than I did before saying anything. But let me say, regardless of the talent and the skill and the ability and all that God has blessed us with, until we are ready to lay that at the feet of Him, I mean, just lay it down. Lay it down. Jesus walked up on some guys that were making their living out on the Sea of Galilee who were mending their nets. And He said, come, follow me. I'll make you fishers of men. Was that pay anything, Lord? He said, not in money, but it pays greatly in heavenly dividends. Those guys, all they had, Brother Figueroa, was their way of life. But He asked them to lay down their way of life to follow Him. Now, folks, do you understand how vast, how big, how overwhelming that is? Lay down your job. Lay down your way of living. Lay down your living. And come and follow me. I'll take care of you. We'll never have a house to stay in. We'll never even have a tent or a sleeping bag. But I'll take care of you. Do you understand? The message has never changed. There comes a time to have God's love, His sanction, His power, His anointing especially, and ability. We have to just lay down our lives. Now, I know this is not a fancy message. I know I didn't take a text. I know this is not what you came expecting today. But you need to ask yourself, do I really love father, mother, brother, sister more than Him? Do I cherish my job, my way of life more than Him? Do I give anything my allegiance more than I give to Him? Now, boy, I'm preaching now. Is there anything in my life that He gave me, that He breathed into me? Is there anything in my life more important than Him? That's probably the strongest message I've ever preached.
That's powerful. That's good, Pastor. Amen. Hallelujah.
Well, my son-in-law is with me over here.
Hallelujah.
You better be. Better be.
Yes. Yes.
Sister Hudson and I, we were born and raised in Cleveland. There is no grand prize for that. When the Lord started working on us, and He had to work on us for a while about answering the call of ministry. Well, I'd be all fired up about doing the work for God, and I'd go to her and she'd say, well, just pray about it. Glad I had somebody who was praying about everything. And then she'd come to me and she said, well, I'm ready to go. Let's do it. Let's just sell everything. Whew. We're going, are you really ready? Yeah, let's just sell it all. Let's go. I'm ready. Let's get out of here. We lived in Cleveland. Her mom and daddy was there. My mom and daddy, all our family was there. Our life was there. Our business was there. Our home was there. Everything was there. Everything in the whole wide world that was important was in Cleveland, Texas. And I said, well, let's just wait several months, 3 or 4 months. Let's wait. And let me get all this lined up and let me get strong. Let me get strong. Let me get strong in the Lord. Then when it's time to make the cut, do the sacrifice, we'll be together on this thing. We wrestled. How long do we wrestle on things? 2 years. 2 years. Not 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years. Then there came a day that it was moving time. Time to sell a business, well established. Time to sell a home that we only liked 8 years, having paid off. We having a paid for home. Time to leave father, mother, brother, sister. She had 7 brothers and sisters. I was an only child. Had to leave everything we ever knew. Came here and bought a house. Didn't know anyone here. Never met anybody here. Had our first service. Didn't know if anybody would come. I think Brother and Sister Peruce were at the first service and their family. I needed a church board about 6 months, 3 or 4 months into being a church, and Brother Ted was first board member on church board. We as poor as Joe's turkey, we couldn't borrow no money, but they let us put a little money in the bank. We couldn't take none out. But there came a time that if we wanted future doors to open in our lives, and open for our children, and open for our dreams to expand, we had to be willing to just give it all, sell it all, pour it all out. And I'm standing here before you today in a beautiful building. This is our 4th facility in 25 years. And with God's help, it'll soon be paid for. And we're very thankful for that. Amen. But I want you to know this, that nothing in our lives will open up until we open up to God. Nothing in our life really moves forward until we start moving forward by faith. I said it Wednesday night that faith without works is dead, being alone. But when we make up our mind that we are willing to put some feet to our faith, we're willing to give it, willing to pour it out. Brother Morrow, the woman that had the alabaster box, you've heard of it. When she broke that box and poured 1 year's wages of fragrant ointment on Jesus, she had to make a decision, Brother Larry, right then, right there. She could not unbreak that precious gemstone box. But when she broke it, and when the fragrance filled the room, and she poured that 1 year's worth of valuable ointment on Jesus, Jesus stilled the crowd, Sister John, and said, let this, that this woman had done today, let it be said of her as a memorial for now and forever. When she broke that box, the Bible says wherever the gospel is preached, let it be said of her for now and forever. So when you get ready, now I can't decide the time or the place for you. I could take you back to a time and place for me. But when you decide, this one's going to leave you with a little assignment this week. How's that? We're going to do a little homework? Is that okay? Everybody hates homework, but this will be all right. When you decide that I'm just going to lay it on the line for the Lord, and here it is. You'll never forget the sweeping power, the sensation, the glory, the anointing, the empowerment that comes when giving God your all. Would you stand with me all over the building today? Would you just listen to the words of this song?
I need thee, oh, I need thee. Every hour I need thee. Bless me now, my Savior. I come to thee.
Could you just simply sing it, let it be your prayer?
I need thee, oh, I need every hour I need thee.
If that's your prayer right here, right now.
So bless me now,
Bless me now.
my Savior.
I lay it all down right here.
I come to
As they sing it, often while we raise our hands, we just raise our hands in surrender of our lives to Him.
my Savior.
I surrender my heart to you, God. I surrender my lifestyle. I surrender who I am and who I'll ever be. Oh, yes, bless me now. Bless me now. Me now. My Savior. I Now Jesus promised us this. He said, if you will draw nigh unto me, I will draw nigh to you. So I can't help but believe by just in our moment of decision today, saying, okay, God, I'm willing to lay some things down. I'm willing to trust you. I'm willing to follow after you. That we have not entertained the Lord of glory in this house, and that His Spirit is with us, and He is assigned to us this week to be with us. So I urge you this week, make a sacrifice unto the Lord. I urge you this week to give of yourself to God. I urge you this week to pour everything out of your life that's unlike God and let God fill it with the gift of His Spirit, because that is the will of God concerning you. Trust the Lord with all your heart. Come on, somebody, have a little trust. Have a little trust. Have a little trust. The Lord said, I'll never leave you nor forsake you. I'll go with you even to the end of the world. That's the kind of God we serve. I can't help but think that the Lord has slowed the service down a little bit today. That the pace of the service opened our hearts to the Word of God. The pace of the service opened our hearts to just simply receive something that's just, just very simple, very easy for all of us to understand. It's simple, it's easy. I haven't asked anything difficult of anyone here today, if you really think about it. Lord, we love you. We trust you. Our lives, the lives of our family and our children, the lives of people we love are in your hands. We give ourselves to you. We bless you with the fruit of our lips, with the fruit of our flesh and testimony and our witness. We ask that you would anoint and bless every heart and life under the sound of our voice. Go with us this week. Help us to empty ourselves out that we might be full of your glory. Bring us back this midweek, Wednesday night, to receive a touch from you again as we connect here at Calvary Church, a place for new beginnings. God bless you.